Was dit? En een bij de andere. Even denken. Oh ja. Is dat geen draak? Was er gewoon een witch? Oké. Dus in Inquisition kunnen we in ieder geval niks met morgen. Dus dan hoeven we daar in ieder geval niet druk om te maken.
Would you care to dance with me, Lady Josephine?
I was hoping you'd ask, my lord.
Wow.
The matter is urgent, Lady Josephine.
I am well aware of that, revered mother.
We will need them to return to Val Royeaux as soon as possible. There are ceremonies, ordinations. Maker's mercy.
That's quite impossible at the moment. However, I will see to this matter as soon as possible.
My Lord Inquisitor. Please, may I have a word with you?
How may I assist you, revered mother?
With the political turmoil put to rest, our minds turn to a single question. The next divine. We cannot answer it without the left and right hands of Divine Justinia V.
I have already told you, revered mother. Lady Liliana and Seeker Cassandra cannot be spared from their duties.
But surely with the support of the Empire, the Inquisition will not be harmed by the loss of just 2 souls.
No.
Why do you need Liliana and Cassandra?
They were Her Holiness's most trusted advisors. They represent her legacy, her hopes for peace in Thedas. They could rally the Grand Clerics to follow as no candidate from the clergy has been able to.
Liliana and Cassandra are candidates to become the Divine? How is that possible?
Not yet. But they could be. We need them to be. There is precedent. Other times when clerics remain deadlocked, a successor was chosen from outside the clergy. Lady Liliana and Seeker Cassandra were Justinia's most trusted friends and advisors. Our late divine is still held in high esteem. To honor her, the Grand Clerics might support one of them as successor.
How long does the Chantry need them?
Several months, at least.
Oh.
If one of them is crowned divine, she would not be returning to the Inquisition.
Oké, ja. Dat stap snap ik.
Liliana and Cassandra would have to make that decision for themselves.
And they certainly will, at a later date. The Inquisitor has only just returned and has important business to attend to. You must excuse us, revered mother. Don't let them detract from your victory at Alam Shiral. We've beaten his wardens and stopped his intrigues. Soon, Corypheus will have no place to hide. Cullen is hoping to press our advantage. We'll plan our next attack when you're ready.
Oké. Ik ben 21, dus dat is mooi. Oh, wacht. Oh. Mask of Grand Duchess, Mask of Falmont, Mask of Empress. Allemaal attire. Oké. Alles heb ik gekregen daar.
Hold here, I'll... Of course, sir. Please don't call me that. Oh, Bells, it's you. Morris. Sir Morris, I suppose. I am serving as quartermaster for Skyhold and its arriving throngs. Stores are growing, and so long as we have fair coin to restock, you and yours will be well served.
There are problems coming out of Halam Shiral?
There are always problems from Halam Shiral. We've lost a few contracts, but more than made up for it. Although, if a few commendations were given, it might retie some severed threads. I couldn't suggest how. That is better decided at your war table, and I'm not going near that thing.
Okay.
The previous quartermaster survived Haven. Where is she?
She had views. Has views. Perfectly legitimate ones if you share them, Inquisitor. I believe it was felt that your quartermaster should be more palatable now that the Inquisition is in Orlais. She continues to serve, just not at the fore.
Oh.
What makes you ideal for this position? It's an important one.
My family has ties to several freehold militias, as well as cousins acting as officers in Ferelden and Orlais.
And your qualifications?
My family holds treaties with 3 new money Tevinter houses, and a rare Orzuma contract with a Paragon namesake.
Dat is ik kan het zeggen, dat is nog steeds geen antwoord.
To be honest, your worship, that was my question. I am the nexus of a dozen threads tied by others, designed to cast the widest and most appealing resource net. But I will rise to the occasion. Skyhold will want for nothing. I swear it.
How's it going? Do we have what we need?
With Skyhold shining like a beacon? You name it, it's here or on the way. I've wrung out the slackers, given them what for. I think I like this job.
As you were.
We are here for you, Inquisitor.
It's good to see you.
Ik weet niet, maar ik moet hem nou al niet. Ja. Ik ben ook niet iemand die een Royal kort gaat rondgaan, om het zo maar even te zeggen. Nou, dan gaan we even de inventory leegmaken. Dus even kijken wat daar aan de hand is. Oeh. Barrier damage. Crit en cunning. Zo. Als ik zo dat... Moet ik even kijken of we daar wat aan hebben. Zo. Gaan we hier in één keer. Nieuwe stal.
Inquisitor, you have come to the attention of the powerful, and I am the response. Monsieur Faris at your service. You will find my wares unique. I sell influence.
Oké. Oh, wat heeft hij hier aan? Oh god. Daar ga ik nog even niet aan beginnen. En al die diplomatic shizzle. Ja, hier te choppen.
Someone I knew once described adamant to me. Adamant is, and always will be, the Order, he said. A guardian on the edge of the abyss. The lone soul that stares into oblivion and doesn't waver. That's what Warden Commander Clarel tried to be. Well, they all tried to be. None of the Wardens we saw wavered. They gave their lives willingly. They died for us. And Corypheus twisted their sacrifice to make it his own.
And that's why he has to die.
You'll get no argument from me. There's no one to blame but Corypheus. Even Clarel's intentions were righteous. Her desire to protect was so great it led her astray. It's not right. To want to do good, to be good, and have that turned against you.
Don't think of what went wrong. Think of their intentions, their sacrifice. honor their selflessness.
Chlorel made mistakes, but she was a great woman. And she died a great woman. It's not the armor or the trappings of the Order. It's not the joining. At the heart of it, all a Warden is a promise. To protect others, even at the cost of your own life.
Yep. En dat heeft ze goed gedaan. Oh, nou, best bij hem. Zal mijn woordtable dadelijk ook wel helemaal vol staan met van alles.
Want a drink? I've a hankering for company. When I was a boy, there were these urchins who roamed the streets near my father's house. One day they found a dog, a wretched little thing. It came to them for food. They caught it, tied a rope around its neck, and strung it up. Do you know what I did?
You stopped them? Cut the dog down?
I did nothing. Not a damn thing. It was crying. I saw the kicking legs, the neck straining and twisting. And I turned around, went inside, and closed the door. I could have told my father, or alerted someone. I didn't. I just pretended it wasn't happening.
You couldn't have been the only one there, and no one else stepped in.
Doesn't make what I did any less wrong. I may as well have tied the noose myself. We could make the world better. It's just easier to shut our eyes.
When we first met, you were saving peasants from demons and outlaws. You're not a man who shuts his eyes. A little insane, maybe.
Of course you'd make light of it. You make saving the world look easy. The rest of us can only dream of matching what you've done. Don't you see? It's not just about what happened back then. There's always some dog out there. Some fucking mongrel that doesn't know how to stay away.
Doo-doo-doo.
Oh, Grey Warden, what have you done? The oath you have taken is all but broken. All is undone. To destroy this peace we have had for so long.
Ik moet misschien maar eens even weer een rondje praten doen. Dit allemaal gebeurd is.
Inquisitor, come have a drink.
Ik
You're
klik me wel
killing
wat
a
af.
high dragon like warriors of legend. Oh. I know, right? Put some chest on your chest. That little gurgle right before it spat fire. And that roar. What I wouldn't give to roar like that. The way the ground shook when it landed. The smell of the fires burning. Tarsidathan Halsam. You know, Kunari hold dragons sacred. Well, as much as we hold anything sacred. Here, your turn. That thing you just said. You shouted it during the fight, too. What does it mean? Oh, Tarsidathan Halsam. Closest translation would be, I will bring myself sexual pleasure later, while thinking about this with great respect.
You shouted that while it was breathing fire at us?
I know, right? Mm. Yes, the second cup's easier. Most of the nerves in your throat are dead after the first one. Atashi, the glorious ones. That's our word for them. Atashi.
Why do you think the Qunari think of dragons that way?
Well, you know how we have horns. We kind of look more dragony than most people. Maybe it's that. But a few of the Ben Hasrath have this crazy old theory. See, the Tamasrans control who we mate with. They breed us for jobs like you'd breed dogs or horses. What if they mixed in some dragon a long time ago? Maybe drinking the blood, maybe magic, I don't know. But something in that dragon we killed spoke to me.
Oh,
It's a shame we had to kill the dragon.
Damn good fight. Dragons are the embodiment of raw power. But it's all uncontrolled. Savage. So, they need to be destroyed. Taming the wild. Order out of chaos. Have another drink.
kijk hoe lang het duurt voordat we van de kruk afflekken.
Nice. To dragons!
To finding the biggest, baddest things in the world and showing them that we're badder.
Anan.
Eeuw. Zo. Ik heb iets van de Ironball. Ik ga ervan uit dat ik daar niet heel veel mee hoef te doen. Dat zit altijd hier beneden, hè? Nee, hè? Hier beneden.
Grand, isn't it? To know the sanctity of our great institutions is intact.
Say what now?
Will you not consider it, Lady Cassandra? The clerics are still sequestered. If no one steps forward, they will debate until...
And you think I could make them agree? I've heard enough for one day, Mother Giselle.
Talk to her, your worship.
Mag ik er gaan overtuigen?
Is there a problem? It seems like she's bothering you.
Mother Giselle is kind, and she means well. So, yes, she was. I assume you've heard that Leliana and I are both candidates to be the next Divine. Because of what happened at Halam Shiral, of course, the Empire favors you. Thus, everyone close to you. So now the Chantry bandies our names about without even asking us first.
How can you and Liliana be candidates? You're not even priests.
It's not without precedent. Amar III was sister to the Emperor, and Galatea a commoner. Liliana and I were, at least, part of the Chantry hierarchy. It would be accepted.
If you don't want it, then tell them so.
Surely it was never meant to be like this. The Chantry The Circle of Magi, the Templars. This cannot be what they intended when it all began. The Chantry should provide faith, hope. Instead, it cannot veer from its course, even in the face of certain death.
Many extraordinary things have happened to get us to this point.
I'm not so certain. I think it has been a long time coming. Did you know Varric is Andrastian? Oh, he blasphemes with every second breath, but deep down he believes. His heart is virtuous. But he would never step foot in a chantry. It should be the first place to which the virtuous turn. It needs to change. Perhaps I must be the one to change it.
Your determination is admirable.
Some men would call it an unattractive trait.
I'm not those men. So this is your new crusade?
I've agreed to nothing yet.
And if the Chantry calls on you?
Then I will do whatever I can, for as long as I can. I suppose I should not be so concerned. The clerics speak my name for now, nothing more. For now, restoring order and stopping Corypheus remain our priority.
Ja, want zolang hij niet weg is, dan heeft Chantry ook niet heel veel zin. Om even te zeggen.
I appreciate the warning, but you shouldn't have come yourself. What if the guild found out, or what's his name?
Are you worrying for me or for yourself?
A little of column A, a little of column B. I am the expendable one, after all.
Oh, don't worry, I'll protect you. We'll just have to... Well, this is a surprise. You're the Inquisitor, right? Bianca Davry, at your service.
Oh.
Your name is Bianca?
It's a common name. Half the girls in the Merchants Guild are named Bianca. The other half are named Helga. I lucked out.
Okay.
I take it you're a friend of Varric's.
Who isn't a friend of Varric's? You have met him before, right?
Any friend of Varric's is welcome here.
Be careful saying things like that. Some of his friends you don't want to meet. Oh, maybe you do. Who am I to judge?
Bianca's got a lead on where Corypheus got his red lyrium.
The site of Bartran's Folly, the tag Varric found, has been leaked. There's a Deep Roads entrance crawling with strange humans carting out red lyrium by the handful.
You can get there from Orlais? It's a long way to the free marches.
The deep roads are all connected. Or they used to be. Collapses and such. Some of them on purpose.
They really are roads. They spanned the Dwarven Empire, went to every corner of the continent, maybe further. In theory, you can get to any thaig using the deep roads, but in practice, there's a reason nobody uses them anymore.
Who could have given away the thaig's location?
There were a few people who knew. Hirelings from the expedition, a couple of close friends.
How they found out isn't important. What matters is we know where they are now.
How do we know they're not using multiple entrances to get to the thaig?
Navigating the deep roads isn't like the surface. There's no accurate maps of the whole system, and there are cave-ins, darkspawn, lava floods. If you find a route that gets where you're going, you don't deviate. Trying to find another way could be deadly.
We need to deal with this. As long as he has this source, Corypheus is that much more powerful.
I couldn't agree more.
I'll keep an eye on their operation. If you're interested in shutting it down, you've got my help. Try not to leave me waiting too long, Varric. I've got my own work to do, you know.
Right. That's not going to be trouble at all. Let me know when you want to head to the entrance.
Inquisitor.
There are spirits hovering by the veil to observe the thrones of powerful nations, the machinations, betrayals. After our time in Halam Shiral, I understand why. I had forgotten how I missed court intrigue.
I'm pleased you had a good time.
Political gambits, broken promises, half-truths. It is a palace full of motivation, and motivation is where great things happen. In any event, Celine should now be a steadfast ally, especially after helping her neutralize Briala.
I hope you know that I didn't turn over Briala lightly. If I'd had another option...
What? Why would I disapprove of... Oh, because we're both elves. I'm sorry, I was confused. I do not consider myself to have much in common with the elves.
Your people have lost so much of their history and culture. Not even think of yourself that way.
I think of myself as me. That's all I've ever needed. I joined the Inquisition to save the world. Regardless of who my people are, this was the best way to help them. As for the elves of Orlais, Briala did what she could. She was an admirable woman, even if her gambit failed.
Even if we couldn't help Briala, I hope we can make life better for our Elysian elves.
Stop Corypheus. That will do for a start. It speaks well of you to feel for the oppressed. Help them for that. Know them for what they are, instead of just seeing a pair of pointed ears.
Hoe zou ik ze zien als pointy ears als ik jou vanaf het begin al bij me heb als mijn healer?
You have remarkably little here on early to winter history. All these gifts to the Inquisition, and the best they can do is the Malefica Imperio. Trite propaganda. But if you want 20 volumes on whether Divine Galatea took a shit on Sunday, this is evidently the place to find it.
If I knew what you were looking for, I could help you.
Because you're a mage? Considering education standards in the South, that's hardly a recommendation. I apologize. That was unworthy.
Dat zeg je wel vaak.
Something by genitivi here. I could have sworn.
What is this about, Dorian?
When everyone returned, they told us about your tumble into the abyssal rift. You went into the Fade. Physically went in. Are you... all right?
Hawk is gone.
The Fade is an ordeal under normal circumstances. To be the only real thing there, beyond description. That you made it out at all is a miracle. You do realize this feat hasn't been performed in over 1,000 years. Corypheus and his contemporaries entered the Fade and began the Blights. In comparison,
That's not exactly comforting, Dorian.
nor should it be. If you can walk in the Fade, others will try to follow. Who knows what secrets Corypheus has revealed? Not all of them will be as lucky as you. What they could unleash. My advice? Keep this quiet. Let them speculate. Too many will see this as a challenge.
Zet maar in.
It's a good idea.
There are enough idiots in the world who think if they just use enough blood magic, their problems will vanish. It's exactly the sort of thing I want to stop back home. This I don't need. What I do need is a copy of the Liberalum. I'll wager I can find Corypheus's real name.
Ooh.
If I can prove he was a grasping ankle-biter with no family to speak of, the luster would come right off. Wish me luck.
I don't know what you think you're doing.
I'm told you gave the Grey Wardens another chance, Inquisitor. Would I have done the same, I wonder? Forgiveness can be difficult. I hope the Order values what you've done and gives you no reason to regret it.
I trust everything is well with the mages?
There have been a few scuffles with your Templars, but overall it is going well.
Nou, zij heeft niet heel veel te zeggen dus.
I set aside an entire shelf for Grey Warden lore, and so far it's not even half full. Those wardens and their secrets.
Ja, dat is een bekend iets.
A request has been made of you, Inquisitor. Here it is.
What is your evaluation of how we're doing?
I am able to pursue my duties with optimal efficiency, thanks to Skyhold's present state.
Oké, goed.
As you were.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Moet ik alleen nog even Liana mee praten. Oh ja, en Vivian, die hebben we ook nog. Zo boos zijn dat ze er niet bij was.
I'm afraid I must ask you for help. There is an alchemical formula that I must complete, but I have been unable to obtain a critical ingredient. The heart of a snowy wyvern.
Okay.
I had arranged to obtain one, but the chevaliers working with me were killed in the Civil War.
I didn't know you were an alchemist, Vivienne. What exactly is this project you're working on?
It is a special request from a member of the Council of Heralds. I am still the Imperial Court Enchanter, after all. The matter is private. That is all there is to say.
Okay.
I'll do what I can.
Thank you, my dear. I would be most grateful. I shall give the location of its lair to Cullen. Remember, my dear, I must have its heart, or the potion will not work. I eagerly await your success.
Ik ben benieuwd wat voor een potion dat is. Daar een liver en hart in moet. Breng me naar Snow White. Oh, god.
I don't know what you think you're doing.
I'm being clucked at by a hen, evidently.
Don't play the fool with me, young man.
If I wanted to play the fool, I could be rather more convincing, I
Ach,
assure
niet ga ik naar boven.
Your glib tongue does you no credit.
You'd be surprised at the credit my tongue gets me, Your Reverence.
Nou, even voordat we met haar praten. Aangezien we weer een stukje gaan krijgen over de Divine.
Inquisitor, I have been thinking. You remember everything now, yes? The explosion at Haven, the Fade, escaping the breach. In your report, you said Justinia was with you. But only you emerged in the end. Why? Why were you the only survivor?
She knew it was either her or me. And she wanted me to live.
Of course. Of course she did. That's just like her. Her message to me. I failed you too. I'm not sure I understand what that means. Did she say anything else? Anything at all? Please, if you remember.
I'm sorry, Liliana. That was it.
There are no answers in the Fate. Only illusions. A warped mirror. Justinia has never failed me. I was her left hand. Now she's dead. I failed her.
Waar is ze nou?
So it's true. Some look to Cassandra or even me as Justinia's successor. I never thought the idea would gain momentum. Of course, with the other candidates out of the picture...
Is becoming divine something you really want?
When Justinia was alive, I would have laughed at anyone who even suggested that I could be her successor. Things have changed. Still, I don't know. Restoring the Chantry will be like trying to steer a sinking vessel through a storm.
Whoever becomes divine will have my support if she requires it.
And I'm sure whoever becomes divine will absolutely require the Inquisition's backing. The Chantry is faltering, but it still has influence over the people. Who tells the people what's right? Who do they look to in times of peril? A divine with enough support can change the Chantry. And with it, Thedas. But this is a discussion for later. If Corypheus wins, finding a new divine will be the least of our problems.
Daar heb je weer gelijk in. Dat is wat ik al tegen de River Modder zei. Oké, hebben we daar ook al mee gepraat. Orkan, Pol en Tura natuurlijk. Eerst even naar Morgan gaan. Die is pas nieuw.
"'Tis a large fortress, Inquisitor. To think, until recently this place stood decrepit, occupied only by the desperate and the lost. Now it is party to events that threaten to shake the world. I wonder if it is pleased."
It sounds like you've heard of Skyhold before.
This fortress was built upon the remains of a site holy to the ancient elves. They called it Tarar Salan, the place where the sky is kept. It is said that from here, they reached up to the heavens to bring them down to rest. They abandoned it, as did the humans who came after them. Bones laid upon bones, silent until your arrival.
Okay.
We were lucky to have found it when we did.
Fate is often mistaken for luck, as Mother is fond of saying. The magic in this place has seeped into the stones, protecting it from darkness. Those who let it fall to ruin did not know what they possessed. You, I think, shall do it justice. You were kind to welcome my aid, Inquisitor, even knowing as little of me as you do. I will do my best to aid your cause with all the knowledge at my disposal. This I swear to you.
You swear it? That's rather serious.
Some might think Corypheus a madman for seeking godhood. Yet one must ask, what were the old gods? What secrets of theirs did the ancient magisters know? What I fear, what all should fear, is not that Corypheus believes he can succeed. 'Tis that he actually may.
Daar zit ook weer wat in. Weer een Judge the Prisoner. Gezellig. Oh ja, doe eens even 7. Even naar de woordtable. Wacht, ik kan even met Josephine praten.
How bracing to be in the thick of the game again. The last time I was at Alam Shiral was Countess Letienne's wedding. There were a dozen affairs, 5 secret alliances, and a duel between 2 chevaliers over the vintage of an Antivan port. But until the Duchess was en masse, I've never seen the Winter Palace in shock.
No one can say the evening wasn't memorable.
They've already begun composing songs about it in Val Royal, no doubt. The game's become increasingly insular in the past few years. Corypheus skillfully took advantage. It's disturbing so few people in the Orlesian court were aware of the Duchess's machinations.
The Empress realized she was in danger.
She's always in danger. Those loyal to her should have practiced more vigilance. But let's not lose sight of victory. Your actions at the ball have secured us allies and favors alike.
My favorite moment of the evening is still our waltz in the garden.
I could have danced with you for hours. We must do it again sometime.
Zo, op naar de wordtable. Oh, het is over 11:30. Gaan we dadelijk een eindje aan bereiden.
It's time to plan our next attack. What's the state of the Inquisition?
We're well loved in Orlais. Say the words and Empress Celine will send her support.
And your actions at Adamant denied Corypheus his army of pet demons. With Orlais' support, our numbers match his. Corypheus's followers must be panicking.
My agents agree. Our victories have shaken his disciples.
We've beaten their god twice over. Corypheus must be livid. Where is he now?
After you dealt with the Duchess, Corypheus uprooted his major strongholds. He's moving south to the Arbor Wilds. His army clearly wasn't prepared to flee. Our victories have them on the defensive.
They've terrorized Thetis long enough. We end them now. If Corypheus is hiding in the Arbor Wilds, that's where we'll go.
But what is Corypheus doing in such a remote area?
His people have been ransacking elven ruins since Haven. We believe he seeks more. What he hopes to find, however, continues to elude us.
Which should surprise no one.
Morgan.
Fortunately, I can assist.
You have my attention, Lady Morgan.
What Corypheus seeks in those Forgotten Woods is as ancient as it is dangerous.
Which is?
'Tis best if I show you.
Wat?
This is an illuvian, an elven artifact from a time long before their empire was lost to human greed. I restored this one at great cost, but another lies within the Arbor Wilds. That is what Corypheus seeks.
It's beautiful in its way.
I found legends of an elven temple within the Arbor Wilds, untouched. It proved too dangerous to approach, and thus I turned elsewhere to find my prize. If Corypheus has turned southward, he could succeed where I failed. The Illuvian would be his.
What does it do?
A more appropriate question would be, where does it lead?
Oké, daar was ik niet helemaal klaar voor.
If this place once had a name, it has long been lost. I call it the Crossroads, a place where all Illuvians join. wherever they might be.
This place is extraordinary. How could this even exist?
Who can say? Formed from the fabric of time and space, perhaps. The ancient elves left no roads, only ruins hidden in far-flung corners. This is how they traveled between them. As you can see, most of the mirrors are dark, broken, corrupted, or unusable. As for the rest, a few can be opened from this side, but only a few.
How did you find out about this place?
My travels have led me to many strange destinations, Inquisitor. Once, they led me here. It offered sanctuary.
Sanctuary?
Not all the mirrors lead back to our world. The ancients were nothing if not resourceful.
Ooh.
What do you mean, a few can be opened from this side?
Some of the Illuvians have been left unlocked, like doors accidentally left ajar. All others are closed. They can be opened only from beyond.
Opened how?
With a key.
I suppose you have such a key?
The key can be many things. Each Illuvian is different. I have knowledge as well as power. Often that is enough.
This place isn't natural. It almost seems constructed. It's as if someone made a pocket within the Fade, with its own rules of reality. If the ancient elves could do this...
It seems remarkable that the Magisters of Tevinter could ever challenge them. Yes.
It's deteriorating. Eventually this place will simply collapse on itself.
Who can say how old it is? For now it stands, and thus retains its value.
Corypheus wants to come here?
This is not the Fade, but it is very close. Someone with enough power could tear down the ancient barriers.
And enter the Fade in the flesh, like Corypheus wanted to do with the Anchor.
He learned of the Illuvian in the Arbor Wilds as I did. He marshals the last of his forces to reach it. You have made Corypheus desperate, Inquisitor. We must work together to stop him, and soon.
Zo. Even kijken of we weer met Morgan kunnen praten.
I understand you have spared the Grey Wardens from destroying what goodwill was left them. 'Tis good of you, considering the weakness Corypheus exploited was their own doing. Still, should a true archdemon one day arise, they will no doubt be needed. Or so they would have us believe.
Now that you've seen the Inquisition up close, what are your impressions?
'Tis remarkable what you have built. I will give you that. A web of favors has wrapped every noble family in southern Thedas around your fingers. All this in precious little time, conjured from thin air through the power of fervor alone. I wonder if Corypheus suspected what he was enabling, just as I wonder what will become of all this once he is defeated.
We have to defeat him first. Then I'll worry about what's next.
Should that happen, the world will lie at your feet, more or less. Beware the heights you reach, Inquisitor. When this is done, many will be eager to knock you back down.
I'd like to know more about you.
Ah yes, Whence comes the mystery woman slinking her way into the Inquisition's ranks? Once I was an apostate, living well away from the banal influence of the Chantry in the Kukari Wilds. Then came the Fifth Blight with its darkspawn, and I left Ferelden for the Empress's court. 'Tis certain the nobles of Orlais breathe a collective sigh of relief that I am now here.
You were in Ferelden during the Blight?
The Blight began in the Kukari Wilds, so yes, I experienced it firsthand. Indeed, I fought at the hero of Ferelden's side for a time. She is the reason the Blight was defeated. We did not part on good terms. I regret a great deal, but that, most of all. And after that, I came to Orlais. The last place one would look for me, or such was my hope.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd that an apostate could live so openly.
It confuses those who expect apostates to cower and hide. I stand boldly before them and demand to know why I need some Chantry mage to teach me to control my power. They would put me on a leash so they can feel safer at night. I am uninterested in their comfort. Naturally, it helps to have friends in high places.
The Orlesian court seems like an odd place to find someone like you.
That was the point, originally. I knew the Empress was intrigued by the arcane, and that I could answer questions no Chantry mage could. Thus, we fit together nicely. I became her advisor, and she my benefactor and source of refuge. Truth be told, our arrangement would not have lasted much longer. Too many wagging tongues, even for Celine.
I leave you to the garden.
Until next time, then.
Oké, nou, op naar de wachtable. Daar wil ik heen om wat aan te zetten. Ik denk dat wel weer even zal duren voordat weer wat klaar is, gok ik. Eens even kijken. Die is in progress, die is ready. Zo. Die is ook ready. Even kijken, delicate negotiations.
It was interesting to see how much has changed in Halam Shiral. And so little. Madame
14 uur.
The sun will grow cold before she retires. Let us begin.
Wauw, oké. Nou ja, laten we die maar meteen aanzetten. Holy moly. Oeps, wat hebben we hier nog allemaal? Zo, hallo. Mhm.
Are the soldiers ready?
As ready as they can be. We're asking a lot of them.
Wachten we wel even op haar. 2 minuten, oké. Nou, laten we hem daar neerzetten. We hebben hem ook meteen in het gebruik. Dan vraag ik me alleen af of ik weer terug naar het Winterpaleis en zo naartoe mag. Nou, ik wacht wel hierop, dan zet ik die andere nog even aan en dan gaan wij daarmee stoppen voor vanavond.